It started on a Monday morning, the kind of day where nothing feels quite right. I dragged myself out of bed, half awake, coffee in hand, ready to take out the trash before the collectors came. But when I stepped outside, something was off. My two large green bins, both marked with my house number in thick white paint, were gone. Vanished. I blinked, thinking maybe I'd forgotten to pull them out, but no. The spot by my driveway was empty, tire tracks faintly marking where they had stood. At first, I figured it was a mistake. Maybe the garbage truck had taken them accidentally. I called the sanitation department, and they assured me they never take bins. Maybe a neighbor borrowed them. The woman on the phone suggested politely. Borrowed them? Who borrows someone's trash bins? Then I remembered, Karen. Karen was the president of the HOA, self-appointed queen of our cul-de-sac. Her lawn looked like a golf course. Her mailbox shined like chrome. And she always carried a clipboard like it was a royal scepter. She had fined me last month for leaving my recycling out too early. Another time, she complained that my garden hose was unsightly. So yeah, if anyone was bold enough to take my bins, it was her. I walked down to her house, just a few doors away. Sure enough, there they were, my bins, standing proudly beside her pristine garage. My number still visible, though she had tried to cover it with some duct tape. I knocked on her door. Karen answered, her blonde bob perfect as ever, a smug smile on her face. "Good morning, Jacob," she said sweetly. "What brings you here?" "I think you have my trash bins," I said evenly. "They've got my address written right on them." She crossed her arms. "Those bins were on the curb for days. I assumed they were abandoned. The HOA can't have clutter sitting around." "They were out for pickup," I replied. "And I always bring them in after." She waved dismissively. "You'll need to file an HOA request to retrieve them. I've already labeled them for my property." I stood there in disbelief. Was she serious? Filing a request to get back my own bins? I walked away before I said something regrettable. But inside, I was boiling. I took a few photos with my phone, close-ups of the bins, the numbers, and Karen herself in the background, pretending not to notice. That night, I uploaded the pictures to our neighborhood Facebook group with a calm caption. "Anyone missing bins?" Because apparently, they relocate themselves to Karen's house. By morning, the post had over 200 comments, and things were just getting started. By Tuesday afternoon, my phone was buzzing nonstop. Neighbors were outraged, entertained, or both. Some shared their own Karen encounters, ranging from petty lawn citations to accusations about mailbox heights. Apparently, I wasn't the first victim. But Karen wasn't taking it lying down. At 10 a.m., a neatly folded letter appeared on my porch, a formal HOA violation notice. "Unauthorized photography and defamation of an HOA official," it read. I nearly spit out my coffee. She was really doubling down. I took a picture of the letter and added it to my Facebook post. The comments exploded again. "Unbelievable. She's lost it. File a police report." And that's exactly what I did. The officer, a tall man named Reynolds, showed up later that day. I led him to Karen's driveway. He examined the bins, then my photos. "Yeah, those are clearly yours," he said. "She covered your address but didn't even try to hide it well." He knocked on her door. She came out smiling, clipboard in hand. "Officer, what seems to be the problem?" Reynolds explained the situation calmly. Her face twitched slightly when he mentioned property theft. "These bins were abandoned," she insisted. "As HOA president, I have a duty to maintain order." "Ma'am," he replied. "Property doesn't become yours just because you think it's unsightly." After a tense pause, she said, "Then I'll be filing a complaint about harassment," and stormed back inside. Reynolds turned to me with a smirk. "I'd say keep your bins locked up for now. I'll file a report." But that night, things took a wilder turn. The local news station picked up the story. Somehow, my Facebook post had gone viral, shared thousands of times. The headline on the 6 o'clock news read, HOA president accused of stealing neighbor's trash bins. They even showed the photo of her driveway, my bins front and center. The next morning, our street looked like a paparazzi camp. Reporters parked on the corner. Neighbors peeked through curtains. And Karen's husband was seen frantically covering the bins with a tarp. Karen herself, nowhere to be found. By noon, an emergency HOA meeting was called. Every neighbor showed up except her. The vice president, Mr. Lopez, nervously cleared his throat. Given recent developments, he said, we'll be reviewing the leadership of our current president. I sat there quietly, trying not to smile. But I had no idea it was about to get worse for Karen. Much worse. 2 days later, the HOA board released an official statement. Karen had been temporarily suspended pending investigation in our small neighborhood. That was equivalent to royal exile. Still, Karen wasn't giving up. She sent out a long, fiery email to every resident, claiming she was the victim of a targeted smear campaign orchestrated by a vindictive neighbor. She even attached screenshots from the HOA handbook about community order. But the more she fought, the worse it got. Someone leaked security footage from a neighbor's Ring camera, showing her dragging my bins across the street under cover of darkness, duct tape in hand. The video hit the internet like gasoline on a bonfire. Local news stations replayed it on loop. Memes flooded social media, Karen the Bin Bandit. There were even t-shirts. One channel requested an interview with me. I hesitated, but after the way she'd humiliated half the neighborhood, I figured it was fair. I told my side simply, it's not about trash bins. It's about respect. Everyone deserves to live without being bullied by their HOA. The next day, the clip aired during prime time. My inbox filled with messages of support. But Karen wasn't finished. That evening, she marched up my driveway again. Hair disheveled, clutching her clipboard like a sword. Do you realize what you've done? She hissed. You've destroyed my reputation. Karen, I said, keeping calm, you did that yourself. She glared. I'll sue you for slander. I held up my phone, recording. You're on camera again, I warned. She froze, spun around, and stomped off. Within hours, the clip hit the internet too. Karen Returns, the sequel. It became even bigger than the first one. The HOA board met again the following morning. This time, Mr. Lopez announced. Effective immediately, Karen has been removed as HOA president. A replacement will be elected next month. Applause erupted. Even the quietest neighbors couldn't hide their relief. Karen's husband put their house up for sale the next week. She was seen yelling at a realtor in her driveway before speeding off in her SUV. For a moment, peace returned to our street. The bins were back where they belonged. Shining in the sun, my house number visible again. But I couldn't shake the feeling that Karen wasn't done. Because if I knew one thing about her, it was that she never went quietly. A month passed without incident. No angry letters, no HOA citations, no Karen sightings. The neighborhood finally breathed again. People laughed about the bin wars at barbecues, and life felt normal. Then one Friday morning, I woke to a strange noise, metal clanking outside. I peeked through the blinds. Someone was at my bins again. For a split second, I thought it was Karen, but no. It was a delivery driver unloading something bulky, brand new trash bins. A note was taped to one. Courtesy of Channel 7 News, thanks for the story. I laughed, shaking my head. My 15 minutes of fame had apparently earned me replacement bins. I wheeled them into place, feeling oddly proud. Later that afternoon, my neighbor Melissa came running up the driveway, phone in hand. You need to see this, she said, panting. She showed me a video posted online, Karen. Outside a local courthouse. Being interviewed by the same news crew that had covered our story. I'm filing a lawsuit, she declared, hair wild, eyes blazing. This community turned against me over garbage. But I'll prove I was right. The reporter asked if she had any regrets. Karen straightened her shoulders and said, "Only that I didn't enforce the rules harder." That clip went viral too, but this time, the tone was different. People weren't angry. They were laughing. The internet had officially crowned her the trash bin queen. By the next week, Karen's lawsuit was thrown out. The HOA had formally banned her from holding any leadership position again. And when her house finally sold, the neighborhood threw a quiet little celebration. I stood on my porch that evening, watching the sunset glow on my perfectly ordinary BINS. The street was calm. The lawns were peaceful, and for once, the only sound was the distant hum of the garbage truck. Melissa walked by and grinned. "So, Jacob, what's next? You gonna be on TV again?" I laughed. "Hopefully not. I think my 15 minutes are up." But as fate would have it, the evening news had one more surprise. "Tonight at 6, the anchor said. An update on the viral HOA scandal that swept the nation. Find out what happened to the infamous trash bin Karen." They cut to footage of Karen working community service, picking up litter along the highway. Bright orange vest and all. The irony was perfect. I raised my coffee mug to the TV and whispered, "Cheers, Karen. You finally took out the trash." And with that, the neighborhood, and the BINS, finally rested in peace.